Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the introduction there, Rich. I think, frankly, most of you have seen and heard me before, so probably heard that same introduction several times. I sat there thinking, crikey, 30 years. I was talking to some colleagues yesterday, actually. Peter mentioned Sir Douglas Okafor, and I was talking to Sir Douglas last night, and he said he's in his 7th decade of work. He's retired 3 times. How many of you will aspire to that, I wonder? I just think 3 decades is a long time, but 7 decades, my goodness. So what I want to do is, following on from the difficult position that, or excellent presentation that Peter puts me in, so how do I follow on from that excellence? And I always tease Peter about that, he's a brilliant speaker. I want to just give you a bit of a warm-up, get the brain cells working. So we're going to do a bit of a quiz, and then I'm going to talk to you about contextualising some of the challenges that we've got, I believe, within maintenance, but we're going to try an interactive bit. So I think I'm going to do, where's Liam? Put your hand up, Liam. Liam's hiding somewhere probably at the top. Oh, there's up there. Hello, Liam. So Liam's going to press the Slido button for me a little bit. So keep your phones ready, your apps ready for the Slido bit. So let's see how this goes. Next. Come on. There we go. So we're going to do a warm-up to keep you amused. So this isn't going to be hard. If any of you find this hard, leave. We don't want you. No, I'm joking. None of this should be hard. And some of you, I apologise now, if any of the pictures look familiar to you, they've been on your patch. I want to inoculate it by saying some of them I've gathered myself over the last couple of years, but largely I've took them from Brian Whitney, so you can have a word with him later. All right, so we're going to play a game called Spot the Problem. So, in terms of track condition, and I'm not particularly talking about Americans there, by the way, but spot the problem. What's happened in that site? You're thinking, what is he been taking? Aren't you? All right, this is really just to get your brains in the zone. Bit of a ballast disturbance there, isn't there? Okay, they start getting a little bit more serious, a little bit. And the next line might upset somebody in the audience. I don't know. I apologise now. Spot the problem. Come on. Excellent engineering. Very neatly done. Yeah. Have we got the cable management right there? And yes, there's a story to that. So it would be disingenuous for me simply to say that was down to complete daftness on site. That was temporary works, but I do love that picture so much. Spot the next problem. Come on. Do I need to get you out of the room? Spot the problem. Hot weather, summer coming along. Say again? Unsecured rail. Unsecured rail? Ooh, very good. Extra point in the corner. Ballast shortage and unsecured rail. So we've got exposed sleeper ends. What do we need to be doing in that area to get ourselves ready for summer? Next problem. The hint's the gauging tree. Vegetation, sighting distances. How do we keep our staff safe on site? And I'd say now, none of this is a criticism, because undertaking and prioritising maintenance activity is hard, isn't it? We've got that challenge of access, we've got the challenge of time, we've got to prioritise the higher risk defects, and we don't always get it right. But it's not about standing back and being wise and saying, ooh. But it's hard, isn't it? It is hard. Have we got the right tools? Have we got the right level of resources? So there's a vegetation problem there. Next one. What do we think of this? What's that telling us? There you go. Who said that? Hands up. Voiding. Top marks. There you go. You can stay. This one, I like this one. This is funny. Spot the problem. Not necessarily a maintenance issue, I give you, but I do love the pictures. Come on, help me out here, team. Oh, come on. I do subscribe to the view of engineering. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't right. So what's gone wrong there? Well, actually, is a planning stage type thing. Bit hard to see. We've got catch pits just have appeared overnight. We've got a foundation, which obviously just grew out of nothing. So when the boys doing the renewals have put the track in, oh dear, the alignment doesn't quite work. So being aware of actually what's around, ground conditions and obstacles. So formations and catch pits sometimes get in the way. Spot the problem. I think that's an excellent piece of innovation. Cost-effective, genius, brilliant. Yeah, Martin, you can leave. Yeah, okay, fine. So, and I've actually been in places where that has been necessary as a very short-term measure, but like, let's try to get the base plates changed and the right fastenings to be secure. Okay, spot the problem. Yeah, well, to be fair, there is a speed on it. So, okay, maybe too many level crossings as a start. There might be a small top problem. So, geometry, level crossings, how do we actually deal with that? How are we thinking ahead? Spot the problem. Cyclic top. Well, that's a well-known. So that's Gloucester derailment back in 2013. Spot the problem. The red circles give you a hint, by the way. Okay, come on, shout out, team. I'm going to pretend I heard that. Yes, stretcher bars. So that's Lambrig. Fastenings, loose fastenings around stretcher bars obviously caused a derailment back in 2007. Spot the problem. The red circle again, team. Stretcher bars again. Potter's Bar, 2002. So this is where we get to the word cloud pole and whether Liam's fingers press the right buttons. I assume it is you doing that, Liam. So we're going to try the word cloud pole. So I want you to just take the next couple of minutes and put in single word, what are the key maintenance challenges facing you? And please don't put sarcasm in there. Okay? So, key maintenance challenges facing you. Access. Okay, lack of access. I did say one word. Oh, red zone ban, climate change. Resource, weather, money, hot weather. Competence, interesting. Okay. Skill sets, nights, lighting, staff, compliance, strategy. Okay, so we're getting some themes out there, aren't we? So, how are we doing for time? We've got loads of time. Let's give it another couple of seconds so people can throw up ideas. So it's interesting, access was off to the races there, wasn't it, as being the fast favourite. And then we've got a few more variations up there, but we've got a few other things that are going on. Yeah, hot weather. All right, so I think that's probably enough. So, Liam, thank you very much. Actually, that worked quite well. So, what I want to do now is just talk to you about some of my thoughts. So, it's quite nice, actually, because I thought I'd do the word cloud poll, and these are my initial thoughts about what you might have actually put up. So, access is in there. I got that right. Tick. Bingo. Affordability, resources, capacity, performance, safety, decarbonisation. So, broadly, our thinking is aligned, I think. Is that fair? Yes, John. Okay. Yes, John. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about a couple of those themes contextualise for you. And then we'll talk about what we can do about these things. So decarbonisation, climate change, hot weather, all themes rolling together, picked up by Peter. So a few fun facts about decarbonisation. So there we go, lovely brand new train. I confess, having been in the rail industry for a long time, I am not a train spotter. It's a nice train, I've no idea which model it is. Anybody knows what model that is? You can? Azuma, extra point for you. Okay. So, facts. We talk about decarbonisation, we talk about the railways, what more we can do. Actually, context. The railway is hugely efficient. Where's the pointer gone? Yeah, my pointer. All right, well, the red circle there. Hugely efficient in terms of carbon per passenger mile. Massively ahead of all the other modes of transport. Even Eurostar, and last I checked, that was a train as well. And then, okay, ferries, yeah, they're pretty good as well, but I'm not sure you're necessarily going to get a ferry to Birmingham New Street, are you? So rail really is head and shoulders above other forms of transport. Where we need to move to, there's a deliberate mistake with my circle, is, okay, it works for passenger trains, but what about freight? There's lots of work to be done around freight, and for every tonne of freight transported by rail produces 76% less carbon emissions compared to road. Massive. It's obvious that's the right place. So if you've got a growth market, it is freight. Now, as maintenance engineers, most of you be thinking, well, that's great, but the freight trains are going to bash the merry hell out of my assets. True? So that's something to consider looking into the future. It's likely we're going to get more freight. In fact, it's the right thing to get more freight. Now, contextually, it probably is a little bit esoteric from the maintenance perspective, but again, some fun facts. The supply and use of material in Network Rail wraps up to a huge number, and is actually 97% of our carbon footprint. Massive. But the track infrastructure of that massive number within infrastructure is 24%. What we do adds up to 24% of overall Network Rail's carbon. Okay? So, thinking about it, rail is already massively carbon efficient. But we have the opportunity to improve that sensibly. And the best way of reducing carbon is to maintain the assets and keep it living as long as possible. So other fun facts, safety. We talk about safety, we get a bit anxious about safety, don't we? But contextually, we are massively successful in our journey for passenger and staff safety when you look back in time. Obviously we have challenges, but contextually we run a safe railway, a very safe railway. And this chart here actually articulates from each of the different assets the contribution to improving service affecting failures and performance as well. Weather resilience. We talked about decarbonisation, but weather resilience, this is one of my favourite little pictures, and this is about a seasonally agnostic railway. Performance drops off through the 3 seasons on the railway. And yes, there are 4 seasons, but in the railway there's 3 seasons, because that's what affects the performance. So spring, you can have your holidays in spring, can't you? We all love a nice wet, damp bit of railway, so nothing particularly goes wrong there. But if it's too cold, problems. Too hot, problems. Autumn, leaves everywhere, problems. But notwithstanding what happened in summer last time about, what we have is performance drops off around summer. Autumn is always appalling for performance, and then winter actually is, believe it or not, tends to be worse than summer. Last summer being an exception to the rule. But we also know climate change is here. We know it's going to get hotter. The extremes are going to get more extreme, as Peter was saying. So we expect air temperatures by 2050 to be in the vicinity of 44.5 degrees. I'm part of a review at the moment, supporting the route directors. What's the output going to be at 38 degrees air temperature? Some of you might have been involved in that, providing information. That's hot. Very, very, very hot. 44 degrees? You know, my best advice to you is start buying some beachfront property up in Middlesbrough, and then you can build a hotel up there in a few years' time and live off that. So hot's going to get hotter. There we go. Nice picture there. And the coal's going to get colder. Plan ahead. Other points. This is slightly out of date, actually, but I'll just to make a point, really. Because of COVID, the revenue stream into the industry has changed. I heard a couple of days ago, I haven't actually seen the charts, but I heard a couple of days ago, pretty much passenger numbers are back to pre-COVID levels. Isn't that good? But it's a different form of passenger numbers. We've got less business, more leisure travels. And the peaks of travel are changing. So, again, I heard, this is a highly anecdotal, the low time would appear at this moment to be Thursday night through to Friday. So potentially, that's the opportunity to change access patterns and asking those questions. So I encourage you as maintenance engineers just to say, when's the best time to actually get in and do my work? Just because our traditional access patterns are based on the past doesn't mean they should always be replicated in that direction. And also of interest, just again, the index cost of travel there, again, my pointer's not working, but on the right-hand side, the red line is the relative cost of rail travel per mile compared to other modes of transport. So actually, sometimes we do think rail is expensive. It's cheaper than other forms of transport. Big challenge for us, though, asset use life. Fact, we have a huge sum of money in the process of being agreed for CP7, £44 billion. 80% of that is going to be spent on the infrastructure. I can't even picture £44 billion. It's huge. So it's a massive amount of money. But relatively speaking, less of it is going to go into the track asset because there's other priorities. It's going to go into structures over a line, which I'm sure cheers Peter up, but all the other assets as well. And that's the right strategic asset management decision. But it means the track asset is going to become relatively older. And you know, when something gets older, there's going to be more of a maintenance burden. Things will fail more often if we aren't clever about how we intervene. So you have to target our performance and safety critical interventions as cannily as possible. And I see Martin Mason sitting over, one of you, thank you, you're going to do a spot, I'm trying to decide who's doing the presentation later, on the insight. Tools like that are the future. We need to be taking hold of those with both hands. But interestingly, we talk about weather resilience and decarbonisation. Less money means tackling those issues will become more tricky. Peter said quite rightly, we can't spend our way out of this. We have to be canny in how we target our interventions. So, I've no idea how I'm doing on time. I'm a little bit ahead. Fantastic. So, question really about how we can actually face these challenges. I'm not going to do a word cloud poll, because quite frankly, I didn't want you to go and put me in a different direction, so I'm going to tell you what you're going to tell me. Is that nice? So I think, in my opinion, the only way of doing this is teamwork. One entity, whether it's Network Rail on its own, or the routes, the DUs, the regions, TA, system operator, route services, even our finance team, can't specifically own the problem. What we have to do is have an alliance of like-minded people and actually solve the problems together. We can only do that by innovating. I'm not talking specifically about a very clever box of tricks. It's about asking ourselves the question, yes, we did whatever it was, now, whatever it is. But how can we do that better? Why can't we do something different? I mentioned earlier about access. That's an innovation. Can we actually change our access patterns? What does that do to our working arrangements? So it's about great ideas as well. So somebody over in, Western. So Andy's sitting there in Wales. So might have a brilliant idea. How do we share those great ideas as efficiently and as effectively as possible? Because nobody's got a monopoly on great ideas. So if you've got to come up with something good, don't be shy. Broadcast it. Broadcast it through a number of means. Through your own colleagues, through yourself, through the PWI. Isn't a great opportunity there? So share your great ideas. Being curious, challenging. Now I have to confess here, there's this lovely framing of an intent which is challenge the standards. So my inner child rolls its eyes whenever I hear that. But there's truth within that. Don't get bogged down, or tell myself not to get bogged down about standards themselves. But this is about saying standards, processes, procedures, they have been evolved and developed over years. They were largely fit for purpose. Actually, Network Rail is world class, make no mistake. Other administrations come to us asking for advice. We can learn off other people. But because it's written down, doesn't mean it's fit for purpose now and in the future. Technology comes along. Different ways of working comes along, different opportunities. So being curious, why are we doing that? Being great engineers. I do not want, and I'm certain you don't want, to be coming into your job every day and following a rule book blindly. The best bit about engineering is getting to the root cause of a problem, coming up with a brilliant solution, enacting that, and knowing you've got it right. Or, okay, in the worst case, it doesn't work out as you wanted, fine, you learn from it, and you go back into that feedback loop. So being curious. Be open. Things go wrong, don't they? Don't hide mistakes. Celebrate them, share them. We only improve together by actually being honest. So be open. One of our colleagues put up capability as well. That links to being the challenge, the learning engineers that you are. PWI can help with that too. There's lots of courses within Network Rail. But improving our team capability, your capability, our organisation capability. We're on an evolving journey, aren't we? Yeah? Yes, John? Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to wrap up by just showing this. So, from the TA's perspective, yes, we've got various strategies, and you know, when you work in a head office function, a lot of your life is around strategy and paperwork and documents. But you know what? A procedure is only good if it's used, if it's understood, if it's followed. Otherwise, it's just a lump of paper or digital dashes and zeros sitting somewhere and to be ignored. So I'd just like to highlight to you from the technical authority 4 of our key priorities, whether it's for innovation or whether it's for processes and standards, is around safety, improving track worker safety, passenger safety, train accident risks. What can we do? And you can help us with that by sharing and being challenging and being open. Likewise, decarbonisation. I've already clarified the case to you. Do you know what? If we did nothing, we are still way ahead of the other assets. But we can be better. So what can we do? We need to be more efficient. I've made the case or explained to you that we've got less available funds. Sorry, but that's how it is. So how can we be more efficient and effective? And actually, by getting that right, that helps decarbonisation. Doesn't it? Keep your asset going as long as possible. That's interesting. That's exciting. And obviously, weather resilience. When it's hot, it's hotter. And when it's cold, it's colder. Big challenge. But that's what makes it exciting. So that's it. Thank you very much. I'm done.